did you hear that your food lie blew up in your hands backstage?
You and I had a nice lunch together.
Ron was talking about it. He said, I had a great lunch with Misha.
I come downstairs and Liz is like, so we're going to have to stall. Misha's got to eat. And I was like, we just did.
Don't try to sneeze your way out of this.
He's trying to do that old sneeze trick.
Look, I'm a prima donna, okay? I don't feel comfortable getting up on stage if I know that you haven't waited for me a little bit.
That makes sense.
It's just like that feels like it sets the tone in the right way.
Right. And every time it's like the bathroom, that's getting old now.
Right. Like, well, I think like that's not great for my image. People are going to start thinking that I'm incontinent or something like that. You know, people know I've turned 50 and they're going to start putting this. And so it's better for me to be just like gorging backstage instead.
Right.
It's like binge eating instead. I think it's a better excuse. Like,
no, binge eating is good.
Misha had to stuff his face before coming on.
Right, so you basically, your lunch was a pre-lunch.
Yeah, to his actual lunch.
Can I just say, I know nobody knows what the fuck we're talking about right now.
They don't know lunch.
But it was an awkward exchange backstage where it was like, everybody got backstage and it was like, all right, we're ready to go on. And it was like, no, Misha has to eat.
Yeah.
And Rob's like, I literally just had lunch with Misha. And then they had ordered food for me because I was like late in the car. Believe it or not, I was late getting here.
That's shocking.
I was coming from Baltimore and there was coastal flooding.
Coastal flooding.
Yeah, I don't know, high tides or something.
High tide.
It was a long drive to get here. And then I said, I haven't had a chance to get any food. Could you give me some food? And I'd love to have some food before going on stage.
Right.
Which they took as, I need to eat immediately before going on stage.
Got it.
So that I can be full when I'm on stage.
And the other little detail is I need to be sure that the band and Rob are gathered around
waiting and watching me eat. And actually, what would be kind of cool, and a continuation of this motif of like wasting other people's time, is if we continue to talk about this in front of this beautiful audience until our time is up. I know that both of you are itching. I can tell I read body language well. You want to get off stage.
Whatever, come on.
But I'm blocking your exit.
But you're really being unfair to the people, you know? The people are my first concern.
The people, Misha.
I mean, come on.
Maybe I'll ask them to bring that food up here and you can watch me eat it.
And they can join us. We'll all just...
Misha, not today, it's my birthday, Misha.
Yeah, it's Ron's birthday. It's his actual birthday. That's called a fake Hollywood hug. We do that in the business. Where two people who don't get along pretend to hug it out on their birthday and with each other. You are so fine. And I'm going to kiss you like there is no tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, well, that's all the time we have. I hope you enjoyed your time. Misha Collins, everybody.
I thought he was fucking with me. It's really his birthday. Rob, I want to give you a birthday kiss. Oh my God, it's so sweet. Happy 60th. Hi, friends. How are you? Good. Great. How many of you are from the greater DC area by a show of hands? Wow, hardly anyone. So a lot of you are here to like see the monuments and tour DC and do White House tours, that sort of thing. No, okay, great.
Very civically minded crowd, I like it.
I spent some time in DC. I worked at National Public Radio briefly at headquarters there. It was very cool for me because people used to ask me like, what is something you geek out about? And I geeked out about public radio, which actually is
geek. Like, that's serious. And then I entered the White House, and that was awful. Bill Clinton was president. Yeah. And he never asked me to smoke a cigar with him. Which is, I'm a sexist. Yeah. I'm trying to think if I should tell you any stories from that time. What?
DC crowd.
It's not a DC crowd. I asked for a show of hands and nobody's from DC. I entered the White House and I thought that it was going to be like the best and brightest minds in the country under one roof. I think now we've seen definitively that the executive branch of the government does draw the brightest minds. Why are you laughing? So I was very excited to get there, and well, actually, I should tell you, I filled out the application, and it was like you had to do an FBI clearance form in order to, like, you did your application for the internship, and then separately you did an FBI clearance background check form that was like 20-something pages long. And one of the questions was, have you ever done any illegal drugs? And Bill Clinton was president, and I said yes, but I didn't inhale because I thought that would be funny. And then as I was dropping it into the mailbox, I was like dropping it into the mailbox, and then I was like, oh no, fuck. And it literally like slid out and got way into the mail as I was trying to grab it, realizing, don't do that. Why did you just say, yes, I've done illegal drugs on your FBI background check? Years later, it turned out that the FBI was backlogged on doing their background checks. And like everybody in the federal government in the beginning of the Clinton administration had been like approved to do their jobs without actually having the clearance checks. And that's why I got in, which was also what enabled me to commit the following felony. So every day I would go into my internship. Well, not every day. So it turned out it was a 5-day-a-week internship, and then I immediately discovered that interning at the White House was actually really fucking boring. And so I was like, oh, turns out I'm not available 5 days. I can do 2 days a week. And they were like, that's not what a White House internship is about. And I was like, they were making me do data entry, and I'm not good at it anyway. So it was like, I felt like I was doing them a favor by not coming in. And I was like, I'm sorry, I can only do 2 days. And they were like, all right, fine. So on 2 days a week that I would come in, it was back in the olden days. So I would pull up to the White House in front of, it was actually the old executive office building, which is the building right next to the White House where my office was, in a horse and buggy. And then get out and go through this little security check. And after you went through security and filled out your form and showed your ID, they gave you a little laminated lanyard. That was the technology, the security technology that they were using back then. And then when you left the White House to go to lunch, you would take your lanyard on the chain and put it in a little dish, and then you come back through security and get a new lanyard. And every time I went out for lunch, I would pretend to drop the lanyard in the little basket and then secretly put it in my pocket because I thought it was a cool souvenir. And so in that way, I collected over 100 of these lanyards and I made a mobile in my room out of these lanyards. It was like, it kind of almost looked like a potted plant, except for what was hanging down was laminated plastic White House security badges. And a friend came into my room and said, what is this? And I was like, well, those are security badges from the White House. And he flipped it over and read the fine print on the back, and it said, possession of this lanyard off the White House grounds is punishable with a $10,000 fine and 1 year in prison, and it is a felony. It was a bouquet of felonies. And I realized at some point that I could tell that story because of the statute of limitations. I still have them. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be sharing that. Maybe that was the moment when I was like, I should put that in the mailbox. Anyway, that was how I interned at the White House. I also took a lot of stationery, which is so great. I still have it. It's like this very heavy weight cotton, paper, and it says, it's embossed with the White House on each page. And so whenever I want to write, a somewhat threatening letter, hi.
I'm Dimitri, dude. Okay, long story short, everything that's on my mind, I always keep telling myself, I can get to tell my name. My name is Dimitri Jude, by the way.
Your name is Dimitri?
Jude?
Jude. Hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, again.
I like that name. Dimitri is a very good name. Very sophisticated.
Yeah. My question is, what are 3 to 5 songs that you can never ever skip? What would they be and why?
3 to 5?
Songs that you can never skip.
So why are we zeroing in on 3 or 5? Is that? I guess. I would say anything that there are certain songs that I love, like from the it's like the classics, like Led Zeppelin songs, like Stairway to Heaven, or songs by the band. Pretty much anything in that oeuvre. I mean, I just gave you actually bonuses because right there, that's like 40 songs. But I have there's an interesting phenomenon would be like, there are these songs that I really love, and I listen to them over and over again. Listen to them in the car driving my kids to school, whatever. Like Ocean Eyes, Billie Eilish. Love that song. And then something like a switch flips, and it'll come on, and I'll be like, I'm fucking listen to that. Does that happen to you? It's like you, over time, you build up an allergy to it or something.
I do have like I guess you're saying my top 3.
You have your top 3?
Yeah, 5 as well.
Oh, I see. So you were asking this question just because you wanted to tell me what your 3 is. I'm sorry that I didn't pick up on the cues earlier. What are your 3?
My top 3, I guess no particular order, but I guess you could say my number 1 is Can't Find My Way Home by Blind Faith.
Okay.
Ever since I listened to it, I could just never skip it. I never skip it. And then another one is Me and Bobby McGee by Janis Joplin. That's another one.
Wait, which one?
Me and Bobby McGee.
Oh yeah, Bobby McGee, yeah.
I love that one. And then, I guess you could say...
You're not really sure about this one. It sounds like maybe you do skip this song somehow.
It's my third one is City Grown Willow by Ricky Jackson.
Oh, all right, good. Nice work. I'll tell you what I can skip now. Carry On My Wayward Son. I did this thing, Gish, the scavenger hunt. And every year, one of the items that I put in the scavenger hunt was some different iteration of performing or playing Carry On My Wayward Son. But it would be like, get an entire church choir to perform Carry On My Wayward Son using kazoos, or something like that. And so, every year, I would have like thousands of submissions of various different amateur interpretations of Carry On My Wayward Son, often performed on substandard musical instruments by people who were tone deaf. And like that song is a trauma trigger for me. I was doing my one-man show that I'm performing tonight. And the sound guy put on Carry On My Wayward Son to like kick it off, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have a panic attack to start my show. I can't hear it.
Anyway, thanks. This has been nice to meet you.
Of course, it's like
Yeah.
meeting you again.
Bye. Bye.
Oh, hi, my name's Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
Me and my twin got picked like right next to each other, so we're
Wait, really? Is that?
yeah, we're twins.
Well, I believe you. But your lottery tickets got.
She was one I was free, and we asked her to switch with us, so we kind of made it work.
That is remarkable. Do you think that have you been rigging the system at all?
In our life we have.
Well, obviously, yes.
But no.
Okay. Do you ever pretend that you're the other one to fool people or
Yes, teachers and
husbands?
boyfriends. Well, I dumped her boyfriends for her, and I dated her husband before they became married.
Does her husband know that he dated you?
My husband did not know.
Were you married at the time that you were dating her husband?
I was dating them.
So, does everybody know now, or is this like a coming out announcement?
Now they knew like a year ago. Well, she let it out a year ago. And then it was back.
Oh, so now this had happened a long time ago.
Like in 2012, yeah.
Okay, so you're good at keeping secrets. Well, not so horrible because you kept a secret for 13 years, right? Or 11 years. That's pretty good. Yeah, I could see how that could be a little bit like, yeah. Well, that's exciting. What other deeply personal things can you share with us? Well, it's either that or everybody watches me eat an omelet, so, okay, but that's not what you came to talk about.
No, I came to ask you if, since we have gone too far with things in our lives, has Jensen and Jared ever gone too far with you? Like a prank?
What do I consider too far? Like, is it full penetration or right?
Was it when Jared kissed you?
No, when Jared kissed me, that was just foreplay. Honestly, yeah, man. I mean, yes, all the fucking time.
And did you ever like say, dude, that was crossing the line? Or did you just kind of like
We all cross lines at different points. We had because so this is a story that I don't think has been very publicly revealed. Partly because I think that it reveals that I'm a person of bad character. For some creation shows, like when it was an East Coast creation show, back in the day when we were filming Supernatural, production started drawing a hard line in the sand. They're like, no, you guys cannot go to New Jersey for the weekend, because we'd be filming until like 4 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning, and they'd leave us back in our hair and makeup trailer at 6:30 in the morning on Monday, and like, if anything were to go wrong with a flight or whatever, then production would be totally screwed. And they had the right, contractually, they had the right to tell us, no, you cannot be flying to the East Coast to go do a convention for the weekend, because there's a good chance that you're not going to make it back in time. And so the solution, the only possible solution, was the creation for some East Coast shows when our schedules didn't line up, had to actually like charter a jet to get us to the convention. And they did, and we were on this flight and we had some drinks, and there's this like tiny little bathroom where it's like you can't stand up. A lot of you are familiar with this, but some of us urinate standing up. But the plane, it was like you had to do the limbo or something, right? So I went into the bathroom. I know, sit down was the solution. That's where I was getting. So I went into the bathroom and I'm sitting down to pee, and oh, actually, this is funny. So Jared convinces the pilot. He goes up. I go into the bathroom to sit down. And Jared runs up to the pilot. And he's like, "Do the zero gravity dive." So I go and I sit down, and then everybody hears, like, they do the zero gravity dive, and everybody hears me, like, hit the ceiling. And then Jared thinks it's hilarious. Of course, I can hear him laughing, right? It's a tiny plane. There's, like, 7 of us on the plane or something like that. And so it's not like, I had to lock the door because everybody sees me going into the bathroom. And Jared runs in and takes a picture of me, naked and probably covered in urine at this point. And then goes back to his seat and has a good laugh. And so I just grabbed his phone and flushed it down the toilet. And I think that was an instance where everyone involved went too far. And then everyone, myself included, felt really bad about that final act. I was like, oh shit, I really did that, didn't I? Sorry. I was like, Jared, you can get it out. It's like one of those airplane toilets. You probably reach down far enough and fish around. Anyway, thanks for that memory lane.
I'm Allison. I don't live here anymore, but I grew up in DC, so it's, yeah, nice being home.
Where in DC did you grow up?
Northwest Chevy Chase.
Oh, really?
Yes.
All right.
My dad still lives in the house I grew up in, so it's especially nice being back there this weekend. And I was wondering, my dad and I actually watch Supernatural together. It's like a thing that we share between the two of us, and it's been like a really big part of our relationship for a long time now. And I was wondering if there was a piece of media that you share with your kids or that you want to share with your kids that is part of the time you spend together, or something that is important to all of you.
Let's see, what do we have watched things together. I think, I'm trying to think of things that we've all watched together. Like, I tried to watch Supernatural with the kids and then realized, oh, that's traumatizing. Weirdly, I think we watched pretty much all of Curb Your Enthusiasm together, and my kids really love Curb Your Enthusiasm. My son has strangely sophisticated taste in things like, I think Curb Your Enthusiasm is fairly advanced for like an 11 and 12-year-old child. That's a little weird. I think it points to bad parenting on my part. Although they came back from their mother's house having watched Squid Games, so I felt like, whatever, I'm above reproach here. We watched The Mandalorian together. That was a nice bonding thing. I do like, there's something about, I'm actually kind of like, I'm kind of trying to get the kids away from their screens and to not be spending so much time, playing video games or on their iPads or whatever. But there's something about sitting down together to watch something that actually is a lovely bonding thing. And so I try to make as many allowances for that as possible. Also, it's a good opportunity to really abdicate on your parenting and tell yourself you're doing a good job, because you can just veg out. But yeah, I'm actually I would say I'm fairly lucky in that the kids like to watch some of the same things that I like to watch. We watched Deadpool 3 together recently. I thought it was great entertainment. They don't watch documentaries with me, which bums me out. I don't know why. What's wrong with them? Can't seem to get them to pay attention. Anything else you watched with your dad?
Documentaries, actually. We really like Werner Herzog documentaries. We go to the movies together a lot. We saw The Substance together yesterday.
What's that?
It's this horror movie that's out right now. It's about being an aging star in Hollywood, played by Demi Moore.
You know what's funny is the thing that was most demoralizing about that audience reaction was that everyone was on the same page.
It was about, womanhood in Hollywood, so different track. I didn't mean that. I'm so sorry. I can see myself out.
Thanks, Alice.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello. I'm Michelle, the other.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
So you basically got, it sounds like you sort of got your sister's sloppy seconds on this one.
That tended to have happened all of my life. I'm okay with it.
Are you the older or the younger?
I'm 2 minutes older, and I was also the big.
That doesn't seem fair then.
No, it doesn't. But I did in the womb. I was bigger than her by a lot.
So she's been trying to get back at you
Exactly. Ever since she's been born. Yes.
Yeah.
We were babies, children, small, and she would take all my stuffed animals, all my toys, on the chair I was sitting in. She'd push me out. I just, I'm used to it. But it's okay.
Well, but it sounds like maybe as she got older, she started feeling bad about that and was like, here, you can have this boyfriend.
But I mean, I was fine with it. I kind of like her personality. She's kind of aggressive. I'm kind of like chill. It was kind of always that way. So we're good.
All right, I'm glad that you worked out.
I mean, we thought about it a lot in college.
Really?
But we got over it and we matured.
Glad to hear that. Thanks for working this out with us.
Well, my question is, what is your biggest pet peeve? Like from other people, things in your house or your kids?
Oh my God, where to start? I really hate when someone gets out of the shower. There's a fucking bath mat. And then just grabs a towel and then just walks and leaves puddles of water all over the place. I hate that. Because you're not looking on the floor for the water, and then you come in your socks and you step in it, and now you have wet feet, and it's like somebody is saying to you, I don't care about you. In a subtle way, in a not so subtle way. So I really don't like that. What about you?
I have a lot of them. But it's weird because it depends on who's doing it.
Right. If it's somebody you really like, you're like, oh, that's totally cute. That's fine. Oh, you left another puddle.
My husband.
If it's someone you really like, then it's cute. But if it's your husband, you realize what you just said, right? That's something to examine.
No, it's the slurping and the chewing loudly that I even other people really, but
that's a condition. What's it called? Misophonia? Mesophonia? Mesophonia. You have mesophonia. I'm glad. So this has been actually lovely. So this is what happens. You come up and you talk issues that need attention in your life, your relationship with your sister, etc. We listen, we respond, and then I can give you a diagnosis. And you have mesophonia? You have mesophonia, and that's, I always remember mesophonia, the word, because it's like mess, which is like mess hall, which is like eating, and phonia, which is like a phonograph, like sound, right? That's the Latin root, because it's from phonia, like phonograph in Latin. And it's too late for a refund, you guys. But that's a real thing, being grossed out by the sound of people chewing and eating, which probably makes it awkward for you to go on dates with people. Yeah.
Can I fix it?
No. The thing that you can do is when you're at a dinner table or something, you can wear sound blocking headphones, like on a construction site or something like that. And if you get some that are flesh colored, people won't even notice you're wearing them. Yeah, that's what I would prescribe for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so glad when I can help people.
Hi, I just want to know what's your favorite thing about space.
My favorite thing about space? I love so many things about space, it's really hard to know where to start. I love that there's a mountain on Mars that's named Gishwiz after my scavenger hunt. I love that the vastness of space makes me feel like my problems are insignificant. I love that I can never remember whether it's billions or hundreds of billions or hundreds of millions of stars in a galaxy, but that there are such confoundingly large numbers of stars and planets out there in that almost infinite vastness of space. I love that I think there was supposed to be there's going to be like a press release or something about this at some point, but you asked and now I just can't resist sharing this information. The Lowell Observatory, as a thank you for me participating in their like solar safety seminars, has worked with NASA to get an asteroid that's designated as a planet killer, named after me. So there's a planet killer asteroid somewhere in our solar system that NASA scientists have to constantly monitor the trajectory of, because if it moves past a large body with enough mass, it could alter its course and potentially put it on track to extinguish life on Earth. And it's named after me. Pretty exciting. So thanks to the Lowell Observatory for making that happen. I'll keep plugging them until the day we all die. But can you imagine, like, what an incredible thing, because they are tracking these things, right? And hypothetically, everybody's gonna be like, oh no, Misha Collins is coming. I mean, it will be a sad day, obviously, but there'll be a little part of me that's kind of like, if you gotta go some way, that's not a bad one, right? Come on, Misha Collins is gonna kill us all. Anyway, thanks for asking. Thanks for teeing that up. I didn't think I was gonna get to brag like that today. Hi.
Hi, I'm Lizzie.
Hi, Lizzie.
And I was wondering, what is the, I guess, craziest or wildest experience that, like, happened to you? Like, you went out to do something, to have an experience, and then it just sticks out in your mind. Like, something that I could go and do and repeat.
Oh, something repeatable.
I guess, like, you know, I'm not an actor, so I can't be, like, harassed on the street, but something like that. Like, what should I go do to have a life experience?
Motherfucker. Do you want to give me a little more, like, something to work with there? It's a very broad.
I know. I didn't want to talk too much. Okay, well, I have spent most of my life like not really taking risks, and I've always just kind of like been on one track. And I guess I'm looking to change that. So how about that? Does that help a little bit?
That helps. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. I don't know why, but it's like this carousel of just things that I absolutely cannot share. You won't tell anyone? Okay. Oh, all right. Well, this is a life experience that you could replicate. Wow. I went to Burning Man for the first time. This was, I don't know, 20 years ago or something. And I was actually going because my girlfriend was writing a story about Burning Man for the LA Times. And so I was like paid for, and this sounded interesting. And we got there and pulled up in my van, and some people, do you know anything about Burning Man? Yeah. Okay. Well, you gotta get out more. Okay, so Burning Man is like 70,000 people out in the desert. It's on this dry lake bed out in the middle of the desert. It's gypsum, which is the stuff that drywall is made of. So it's like just dust as far as the eyes can see. It gets to be 110 degrees in the daytime, and then freezing cold at night. When it rains, the mud is so deep that you can't walk. And then when it's dry, dust storms kick up and blind you, and you have to like shelter in place. It's hell on earth. And there's no economy at Burning Man, so it's a week-long event, but you're not allowed to exchange money, and you're not allowed to barter either. It's a gift economy, so you just have to give things to people. And I pull up, and this guy is like, comes up to the window of my car, somebody I've never met, and he's like, open your mouth. And I'm like, okay. And like, jump. And I was like, well, what was that? He's like, that was liquid acid. That was as I was like, I had not gotten out of my car yet. And I had no idea what this event was going to be like. My father actually came. My father was there. And and my brother. And I hadn't found them yet. And they had this thing called the Burning Man Post Office, which it's totally disorganized. It's a bunch of volunteers. Basically, if you want to find somebody to give a message to them, you'd be like, listen, I'm trying to find my brother. He looks like kind of like me. He's like one of the 70,000 people here. And I think that he has a green tent. If you can find him, give him this message. Because there's no cell towers, there's no way to communicate with anyone. And then people run around and try to find each other, right? So, I start wandering around, and I can't tell what's real and what's not. People are in all of these costumes, and I'm like, spiral eyes, losing my mind. And I come back, and I find a note that's been delivered by the Burning Man Post Office under the windshield wiper of my car, and it says, Misha, Dad has passed twice. I'm at the hospital in Reno. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? So it turns out, my dad had gone online and seen Burning Man, and he was like, all right, I think I've got the idea of what this is about. I think I've got it. You need a costume. So he got a Batman costume, like a full body latex Batman costume, and he stuck feathers in it because he wanted to make himself look like an eagle. But they were colorful feathers, so he looked like a giant chicken. And my dad is a little bit overweight and quite a bit older, and he sweats profusely. And it's 110 degrees and he's got this thing that goes up over his whole body. It's like a wetsuit, but it's covered in feathers. And he's sweating bullets inside this thing. It's like water is pouring out of it. And somebody gave him hashish. And right out in the middle of the desert, he passed out. And they brought him into the tent, and they revived him, and he went back out, like, he was dripping wet, he was sweating. They gave him an IV to, like, resuscitate him. Went out, and then somebody gave him some more hashish. He passed out again, and they're like, we're not taking you back in here, man. You've got to go to Reno. But my brother is dyslexic. And so he wrote passed, but he meant to write passed out. So the whole 2-hour drive back into Reno, I'm thinking I'm going to recover the body of my father. But this too could be you, is what it's like. You don't cook that often?
Yeah.
Okay.
But when I do, I tend to use a lot of garlic, and people say I overdo it. Is there anything that seasoning-wise you tend to overdo?
Yeah, like spicy things. I tend to make things too spicy, but I can go overboard on garlic too. I go through a lot of garlic, like many heads of garlic in a week. Do you use a garlic press?
No, I just use garlic powder.
Man, we should talk about this because why is that? So you're okay. There's this great press. I don't know what it's called, but you can put the garlic in without peeling it, and you squeeze it, and it's just like it's really solid, and it will just break the skin, and the garlic will come through the holes anyway, and then you just like pull the skin out when you're done. So it saves some time if you're lazy. But I think your problem is actually that you're using powdered garlic. I think we've diagnosed another problem here. This is kind of great. Will you do something when you go home?
What?
Will you get a couple of heads of fresh garlic and try cooking with them?
Okay, I will.
Okay. One thing I'd like to ask is, don't put the garlic in the hot oil in the pan by itself. A lot of people make that mistake, but it's way too easy to burn the garlic. So wait till you're like sauteing the onions, and there's some other things that are going to keep it a little bit cooler in the pan before you put the garlic in, because then it'll burn. It'll get like pasty and brown, and the flavor will be all off. Okay? You're looking at me like you're not really going to do this.
I'm not going to promise anything.
Why is that?
Free time on my hands.
Free time? How much time are we talking about? You just got to put the garlic in the... Well, I think actually this points to a bigger problem in your life. If you don't have time to put fresh garlic in your food, you should not be here. I don't know. I think peeling garlic might be a better reason you're Let's find the space in your life for fresh garlic. That's my prescription for you. Hi.
Hello, my name is Kathy.
Hi.
I am a technician at a performing arts venue, and we enjoy interacting with the talent.
Oh, wonderful.
Would you please share with me or with everybody a story of your interaction with Crew of Supernatural?
No. I will tell you, I'm going to tell you a story completely unrelated because I thought this is where you were going and it popped into my head. So when I went to college, they had this program where it was like a federally subsidized program for poor kids where, I can't remember what it was called, but basically the school had this pool of funds that they could pull from the federal government to hire poor kids to have a job, and the government was going to pay half the wages. So the school was very much incentivized to hire us kids who didn't have money. And I got this job at Mandel Hall at the University of Chicago, which was like it was like the concert venue on campus. And I got the job by, I had been in a couple of plays in high school. And so I went and I saw the posting for the job, and I went to the guy like at the theater, and I was like, theater, that makes sense, I've done theater, I can do this. And he was like, you have experience with technical work in theaters. And I was like, of course I do. I mean, technically, you know, walking on stage is technical, right? And he was like, okay, great, well, you seem like a good guy, and the government's gonna pay for half your wages. So the very first thing that he had me do was, they had, the symphony was doing a performance. Everybody was coming all dressed up fancy. And he said, all I need you to do is go up into the sound booth, and we need a digital recording of this performance, so I just need you to record it. It's very simple. And I was like, no problem, I got it. And I went up, and he went home. And like everybody's coming in in their like formal evening gowns and everything. It's like a big symphony. People pay a lot of money to come to this thing, and the symphony needs a recording, I guess, to like put out on their album or something. And I go up into the sound booth, and it's one of those like big sound mixing boards, and all of these like banks of electronics. No idea what I'm looking at, no idea how to record it. And in the end, there is no recording of this performance whatsoever. And then it became abundantly clear to the guy that ran Mandel Hall that I had no idea what I was doing with anything. I didn't know anything about lights, I didn't know anything about sound, anything. But he was super nice, and he was like, couldn't fire me because he felt bad. And so for 4 years, I worked at Mandel Hall, 20 hours a week, without ever working at Mandel Hall. It was like nothing. It was like every once in a while, he was like, oh, I found something that needs to be screwed in. Misha, can you screw that in? But I logged a lot of hours without logging any hours. It was a wonderful job. On Supernatural, we had like this almost family dynamic with the crew, because everybody was in the trenches with one another for so long. Or a lot of the crew on Supernatural were there on the first episode, who were still there on the final episode 15 years later. We watched people go through marriages and divorces, had children, people passed away. It was like really, really getting to know a group of people very well over time. I'll share a story that I thought was like particularly thoughtful and sweet that happened on set. Our dolly grip, which is the guy who's in charge of just pushing, it's like this, it's a cart that has the camera equipment on it, and the focus puller and the camera operator sit on the dolly with the camera. And so for like shots in Supernatural, you see where the camera's like slowly drifting in the scene, they're probably on a dolly. And the dolly grip is like pushing the thing along at just the right pace, at just the right moment in the scene. And Jared and Jensen always fucked with me and would make me laugh when the camera was on me. And it became incredibly frustrating at times. And I was really particularly bad at not laughing. Jim Beaver, they could do anything to him, and he wouldn't laugh. Like they'd be fondling his balls, and he'd just be like, hey, Jess. But it's like the hand even comes close, and I'm like, so I was terrible at it. And Dolly Day and we have one like particular scene where everyone's getting frustrated because I'm still laughing, and everybody wants to go home. And Dolly Dave comes up to me, and you can see that like I've been trying to like bite my cheeks and do whatever, and it's not working. And he says, "Hey Misha, one thing that I thought you could try that might really work, it's a tip that I think might really work, is when you're messing with you and you're looking at them, and they're trying to make you laugh, just think about how much you hate them." I find that really works. And he was dead serious. He was like, he knew. knew that I hated them at that moment. So I thought that was useful information. Yeah. Let's see if I have any other, because well, I could bore you to death, but I'm not going to. But yeah, we had a great group, really lovely, great group. We laughed a lot. There were so many moments. The camera crew in particular were just so fun. They were often stripping down into their underwear while on set to join in with Jared and Jensen to try to make me laugh. It was very effective. Thank you. Hi.
I don't have anything to traumatize you with in terms of props.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. But thinking about some of the things you've said, when you're talking about the wet trails and things, I was thinking about a professional development I recently had to have. And the brains of adolescents, when they enter adolescence, it's only 80% developed. But every single week, they lose 25% of previously made connections in their brains. So yes, it was fascinating to learn.
That can't be right.
No, because your brain's constantly making connections. Constantly making connections. And some things that you might have told them, you might have had the whole, I see that you are understanding and hearing me, but that connection that they made in that second is going to be gone, possibly in the next week. Because it's not something that they need for survival in their adolescence. The things that they have needed for survival up to that point, a lot of those are going away. So there are certain things that it's
Well, this is like justification for why it appears to me that my children never listen to anything I say. It's their brains just aren't able to listen to anything I say.
It could entirely be possible. I mean, and they only have a 5 to 7 minute attention span.
That would be wonderful if they had that.
So, but one of the things that I try to do with my kids, and I do it a lot more now, but I wish I could have done it with my kids, is take a lot more road adventures. And all over the country there are amazing things, but one of the most, and you're on the East Coast a decent amount of time because of Baltimore, you can download a map of Virginia, and there are a bunch of hearts all over this map. And it's a love sign. And it's like a scavenger hunt to find all of these love signs.
That's cool.
So, but it's like, that's an idea, but what have you done to make new memories with your kids?
Well, now that you've shared this information with me, I'll never waste time trying to form memories with them again. They're not going to hold on to them anyway. Road tripping, we've done a little bit of road tripping with the kids, which has been pretty fun. We had this great trip a couple of years ago where we just drove from Southern California to Southern California in a little loop, but we went out to like Death Valley and saw some beautiful places like the singing dunes. I don't know if you ever heard of them. These like beautiful sand dunes, white sand dunes out in the desert where when you walk on them, they make this sand rubbing against itself as it starts to cascade it down. Makes this singing sound, which is really cool. And then you can like sled down these sand dunes. We put together a little list of things that we wanted to do. My daughter is obsessed with salt. She has this little like 1940s metal lunch pail that has salt written on it. She has a collection of salt. She literally brings it with her, like packing. I don't know how you need to bring that in your carry-on, but okay. But we went out and like found some salt flats, and she harvested salt, which is probably like full of arsenic or something like that. But one of the things they said that they wanted to do, they was like, well, you know, we're traveling around the Southwest here. Maybe we'll go maybe a gold mine or a mine or something. And so I just like typed in on Google Maps gold mine, and a little thing popped up, and we were in this camper van, so we drove out this road that got more and more rutted, and I was like, I don't think, and then I was like, oh shit, this is a lot further than I thought, and we got out to the end of this road, and it was all washed out, we could barely make it, and we got to this gold mine that had like all of the old equipment there from the late 1800s, early 1900s, tin cans, old shoes of miners, like beer cans that were literally more than 100 years old. It was really cool. And the coolest thing was, there was no fence over the opening to the mine. So we just went into, like, there were miles of tunnels in this mine. And we went in and like saw all this old equipment in there. I mean, the mine had been abandoned for close to 100 years. And we survived. Which was totally awesome. But it was really cool. I mean, it's fun. I love, one of the things that I love doing is just sort of following little breadcrumbs or going down little rabbit holes when you have a chance to. And it's really cool to see if you know, for example, we used to do this thing where we would just like pull off on the side of the road and like, oh, there's a fish packing plant. And then just go in and be like, hey, can we get a tour of your fish packing plant? And everybody's like, you want to see our fish packing plant? And they're so excited to share. I've toured sauerkraut factories, fish packing plants, sewage treatment plants, landfills, big grain processing centers, feedlots. I think I like rock quarries. I like weird, industrial, dirty, dangerous places, generally speaking. That's my kink. But the cool thing is, like, people are actually really interested to show you if you ask, and it's actually more interesting than doing the touristy thing 9 times out of 10, I find. So that's something that we do and have done, and every time I remember to do something like that, I'm like, that was awesome, that was fun. Thank you. Hi guys. Would you like to ask the last question?
That's a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure.
No, you've been chosen.
Okay, well, it's going to be a prescription then. So, me and my roommate really loved your book of poems.
Oh, thank
I
you.
would really just like a book recommendation, please.
A book recommendation?
Yeah, prescribing one, please.
I am halfway through a book that right now feels like it's the best book I've read in years, so I can highly recommend it. Who knows? Maybe the second half sucks, so I can't vouch for that. But it's called The Work of Art by Adam Moss. And have you read it? First of all, the book itself is a work of art.
Is it fiction, nonfiction?
It's nonfiction, and Adam Moss just interviews all these luminaries in various different artistic fields. It is awesome. Everybody's, like, people talk about specific projects, like Tony Kushner, Angels in America, and it's just like, what exactly was your process in creating this particular work of art? And you see all of the neuroses, and all of the hard work, and all of the thought and energy and effort that goes into all of these great things. And it also makes all of these incredible artists' work seem so much more accessible. You're like, oh, I guess it really is just a matter of working your ass off is the big lesson behind it.
Wow.
But it's illuminating, and it's also cool to hear about people's processes.
Yeah.
So awesome. It's actually a great book.
Wow.
I will buy you a copy.
You love it. For my birthday?
I don't know if you know this, but this happens to be Ron's birthday. And you know what? There's a little ditty that goes along with such days.